Hey there, friends. Welcome to our final module for the semester. I can't believe it's almost over. Module 13, we're going to look at historical fiction and a few other things. So we'll start with Chapter 8 in your textbook that we all know and love. Looking at historical fiction, it's a long one. I don't want you to read the whole thing, but just kind of skim through it first, just flip the pages and see what's in there. Then looking at the section on quality historical fiction, just pick out three things that you think are most significant to make a really good historical fiction. And then it goes through different parts of history, starting with prehistory, going through more modern history, and just pick one of those sections that range from 260 to 276. Pick the one that kind of draws you, that you feel like the most interested in. Find three books that you'd like to read from that section, and just give me the title, the author, and a little synopsis for each. And I hope you actually go ahead and read it. I'm not going to hold you accountable to that. This is just for your own future reference. Then I've got posted here on Blackboard two articles, one written from a critic about modern historical fiction and how we put sort of our own view in history and some of the challenges with that. And she questions some kind of well-known books. So it's an interesting article. And then the other article is written from an author's point of view who has been critiqued about writing historical fiction and some of the very kind of touchy points. So the question is, how much do we want to rely on actual focused history, and how much can we be aware of the story? It's sort of a debate. So you're going to consider that and create some kind of compare contrast, either like a Venn diagram, or you can make a little chart, and then kind of looking at both sides of those arguments, kind of come up with what you think is most significant. Then in chapters 11 and 12, the last two chapters in our book, talk about using literature in the classroom. Chapter 11 looks at K-3 classrooms, and chapter 12 looks at upper elementary and middle school. So just pick one of those, one that, if you prefer younger kids, pick chapter 11, or older kids, chapter 12. And just, again, skim through those chapters. Mostly I want you to have an idea of what's here so you can reference this book later when you're actually teaching, or when you get into the credential program, you might use some of these ideas in your reading methods courses, which I also teach. Hopefully I'll get you again. So pick 5 ideas that you really like, that you think would be valuable to use once you're a classroom teacher. And that's all we're going to do with that. Next, what you're going to do is watch everybody else's presentations, the author presentations. I've listed them here, and answer these questions for each one. Obviously, you're not going to watch this about your own author. Instead, what you're going to do is talk about your presentation. If you worked with a partner, rate yourself and your partner on a scale of 1 to 10, and then describe why you think you rated that. So even if you worked by yourself, give yourself a score. How do you think you did? What do you think was valuable? And rate that. And then when you get down here, when it comes to your presentation, you can just delete it, or you can say, my presentation. You don't have to answer the questions on that. But it'd be good to do this after you watch the other one, so kind of get a sense of, compared to your classmates and what other people did, how do you think yours went? So you'll watch each other's and write responses there, and then make sure you post something also on the wiki so they get comments from you. I'm the only one that's going to see this, so feel like you can be honest here and more critical if you wanted to. Okay, now I just wanted to make sure this was clear. The virtual library, I think initially I asked you to have it posted by December 3rd so you could respond by the 7th. Instead, I'm going to have you post your library by December 7th, and then everybody will have a week to do the responses, so by December 14th. Gives everybody a little extra time both to finish theirs and respond to each other's. Also due December 14th will be your portfolio reflection. So there's no new work coming out next week. You have basically from now to the end of the semester to get all this stuff done. And one last thing, Mrs. Nelson's Book Fair Company, they used to have the bookstore in Laverne or San Dimas, but that's gone. Sad. But they still have a book fair company in a warehouse, and their warehouse is having their big sale, 20% off, December 16th and 17th. You can check mrsnelsons.com or call the phone number if you want more information about that. I highly recommend it. They have great books. You should get to know them if you don't already. They oftentimes have local authors come and talk, so it'd be a good way to find authors that you might want to bring to your school or just get to know them and hear what they have to say about their books. It's just a neat opportunity. So check it out if you get a chance, and that's it for this week. If you have any questions, please contact me.